I have here letters that just were sent to me that plead with the FCC to keep our net neutrality rules in place. But what is striking and in keeping with the new norm is that despite the millions of comments, letters, and calls received, this order cites not even one. That speaks volumes about the direction the current majority is heading, this FCC is heading, and that speaks volumes about just who is being heard at the FCC. Now, many have been asking me, what happens next? How will all of this, net neutrality, my internet experience, look after today's decision? My answer is a simple one. When the current protections are abandoned and the rules that have been officially in place since 2015 are repealed, we will have a Cheshire Cat version of net neutrality. We will be in a world where regulatory substance fades to black, and all that is left is a broadband provider's toothy grin.
Many small businesses have been blatantly misled into thinking that they're going to be forced to pay more to continue to do business online. Others have been told that free speech and civil rights are on the line. It simply isn't true, and we know that from experience. The internet has functioned without net neutrality rules far longer than with them. Nobody can name more than a handful of examples that occurred over the course of an entire decade prior and that were readily dealt with, whether actual violations or not. While repealing net neutrality rules grabs headlines, reversing the classification of broadband internet access service as a Title II telecommunications service is far more consequential. Net neutrality started as a consumer issue, but it soon became a stepping stone to impose vastly more onerous common carrier regulations on broadband companies. Even the previous chairman initially attempted to reinstate net neutrality rules under more limited legal authority, and many companies would have accepted the compromise and lived with net neutrality rules as long as the Commission didn't impose Title II, irreparably tainted by the large number of fake comments. That view reflects a lack of understanding about the Administrative Procedure Act. The agency is required to consider and respond to all significant comments in the record. Millions of comments that simply say something along the lines of keep net neutrality or other colorful language we can't say in public, including a couple who referred to me as a potato.
Wait, stop. Really?
Yeah. Say that I look like a potato. Okay.
Oh. No comment.
I mentioned it a good way. Sorry.
Whether or not they are submitted by real people, bots, or honey badgers have no impact on the decision. As the order makes clear, we do not rely on any such comments. To be clear, that does not mean that comments were ignored. I commend staff for the extra effort that they had to sift through these extraneous comments. Many were simply obscenity-laced tirades.
I'm proud to help end this 2-year experiment with heavy-handed regulation, this massive regulatory overreach. Prior to the FCC's 2015 decision, consumers and innovators alike benefited from a free and open internet. This was not because the government imposed utility-style regulation. It didn't. Some claim, for instance, that Title II is preventing ISPs from selling bundled or curated plans that offer access to only a portion of the internet. It's not true. The FCC expressly stated that Title II, right now, allows providers to do just that. Some claim that Title II is preventing ISPs from increasing their prices for broadband, so they're going to see a spike immediately after this decision. But the FCC emphasized that its Title II decision involves, quote, no rate regulation. And some claim that Title II is preventing ISPs from blocking, throttling, or engaging in paid prioritization. This is also not true. And following next year's presidential election, the composition of the FCC could be substantially different than it is today. Now, 2 years ago, I certainly did not imagine that I would be part of the FCC's new company.
Net neutrality is internet freedom. I support that freedom. I dissent from this rash decision to roll back net neutrality rules. I dissent from the corrupt process that has brought us to this point. And I dissent from the contempt this agency has shown our citizens in pursuing this path today. This decision puts the Federal Communications Commission on the wrong side of history, the wrong side of the law, and the wrong side of the American public. It means you can go where you want and do what you want online without your broadband provider getting in the way or making choices for you. It means every one of us can create without permission, build community beyond geography, organize without physical constraints, consume content we want, when and where we want it, and share ideas not just around the corner, but across the globe. I believe it is essential that we sustain this foundation of openness, and that is why I support net neutrality.
Within a generation, we have gone from email as the killer app to high-definition video streaming. Entrepreneurs and innovators guided the internet far better than the clumsy hand of government ever could have. But then, in early 2015, the FCC, under political pressure, jettisoned the successful bipartisan approach to the internet. On express orders from the previous White House, the FCC scrapped the tried and true light touch regulation of the internet and replaced it with heavy-handed micromanagement. It decided to subject the internet to utility-style regulation, designed in the 1930s to govern Ma Bell. This decision was a mistake. With the dawn of the Internet of Things, with the development of high bitrate applications like virtual reality, with new activities that we can't fully grasp yet, like high-volume Bitcoin mining, we are imposing ever more demands on the network. And over time, that means our networks themselves will need to scale too. On advice of security, we need to take a brief recess.
Everyone, I need everyone to leave everything that you have in place. Do not take anything out of here except for your body. Do not take any bags, any books, or anything. Only thing that leaves out of here is just your body. We will call everybody back in once we finish clearing the room. Thank you.
$5 Matt.
Yeah.
Just your body. Wow.
Can we get down?
Cameraman, I'm sorry, you're going to have to drop your cameras too. All right. I got that, sir. You need to step out, please. Thank you very much. Hey guys, don't move. I need you to step out now. Thank you. Out, please. You've been cleared. I need you to step out. Take the cameras with you. Take the cameras with you. You step out, sir. Take the cameras with you. Okay, so we get that already. Hey, this is a walk around. Walk around.
Hey, did you get that guy's name that was?
Yeah.
From the Public Safety and Homeland Security Bureau, Ken Carlberg, and from the Media Bureau, Tracy Walden. With that, we will call the vote. Commissioner Clyburn.
I dissent.
Commissioner O'Reilly.
Aye.
Commissioner Carr.
Aye.
Commissioner Rosenworcel.
I dissent.
The chair votes aye. The item is adopted with editorial privileges granted as requested. Thanks to the staff for your terrific work on this item. Madam Secretary, could you please announce the next item on today's agenda?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, the fifth item on your agenda will be presented by the Wireless Telecommunications Bureau and is entitled Amendment to Harmonize and Streamline Part